And then the PRZ, I'll repeat this again, is the combination of converging harmonic levels. The first is from the X to the A, the 886 that we have here, which is the bottom of our zone. The second is the extension of AB, this line to this line, equaling the C to the D on a harmonic level. So to illustrate that, let me see if I can just copy and paste this guy real quick. Drawing a blank now. 1 second. Okay. So like we said before, you're basically going to be looking for this to recreate itself. And since it already broke this zone, we know that that second part of the PRZ is invalid. So now we can cross that off the list. And we know that we don't have to be watching that zone anymore. Actually, I'll leave it there just for the sake of understanding. So this is the second converging part at the top of the zone, usually. The third part is the minimum BC projection of the 618. The BC projection is going to be the extension that we're looking for, which is B to C. So this would be the other part, the other line that we're looking at right now. So since this other part of the box got invalidated, I have to click on the right box. We're going to be looking down here now as our actual price reversal zone. So this is not a perfect bat, but it's about as close as you're going to be able to just draw up as far as these are concerned without looking at like the IML harmonic scanner or something like that. But where it gets more difficult is you could also change this bat. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of everything really fast. And you could also draw this bat from here to here to here to here, and then we'd have to look for a new D. Because here, this is 0.05 higher than our other one. So this is still a valid B point. And this is a 0.76, so this C is still valid. So we'd be looking for our D here. And then this BC projection is already at a 1.7879. So we'll go ahead and we'll draw a new zone. I'm just trying to show you how harmonics can change a little bit. The other one I think is more valid, but we can do this one. Yeah, yep. Yeah, I'm going over that right now. I was just showing how you can draw these a couple different ways right now. This one would technically be more invalid already, which is why I didn't like this one quite as much. So we'll look for our B to C now. So we know that that's the 618 right there. Actually, this one's just tighter is what it is. It's not actually invalid. It's just going to happen a lot sooner, I think. I need to double check. Okay, so now we need to find our AB equals CD. Let's get our trend line in. Just clone it over, pop it on there. And that's where I was saying it's this is technically not an invalid pattern either. This is still a bat pattern. But we would be seeing this come up a lot faster to our TP. And this is why I was saying earlier that it could come down further when we drew our first bat pattern. Because if we go out, this is still on an overall uptrend. And we're hitting a bunch of other parts of support and resistance. And I'm going to do this brief part of this, what I'm going to do tomorrow. Harmonics are very good for a ranging market. So let's narrow this up a little bit. This is going to be close to a harmonic if you drew it from here. Yeah, actually that does look really good. Okay, so this would be a harmonic right here of some sort. I would have to draw it up to measure it really fast. Let's find out what it is. That's not bad. This is almost a bat pattern also. So one really interesting way to find out if it is really quickly is we're going to measure this. And we can see how it came up right after it hit our D point. After, gosh, what is that? That's almost 2 months it took to get up to our 618 from this zone. Let me go back to the chat really fast. Okay, yeah. So that's one of the really good things about ranging markets is the harmonic patterns are extremely useful. They're pretty darn accurate most of the time. You can usually indicate a spike or a change in the direction. So we're going to continue monitoring this. But right now, if I go into the daily, because I can't, if we go to the 4 hour, it's going to be insane. We're coming up on this small zone in a hurry already. It'll probably hit this sometime in the next 2 days. But if this does hit our 6 or 886, did I draw the TP for this one? No, I did not. No, I did not. Okay, 1 second. We can draw that up really quick. So we'll make the assumption that it is going to hit on the 886. And you could probably put in a really safe buy right around here. You could probably have, I'm just doing 30 for the sake of risk management right now. You can do whatever you feel comfortable with doing. But that's, if this does complete, it's a 13.5, 446 pip gain if this executes. So for something like this, I would definitely have a bigger stop loss depending on what kind of account you have. You never want to go over 3 to 5% in my experience. So for something like this, I would probably put in like 100 pip stop loss, and I'd put in a really, really tiny micro lot size, something like a 0.02 or a 0.03. And then what you'll be looking for once this develops, you're going to want to find like, you're going to be looking for it to come down. It's going to test here. It'll flatline, and then you'll be looking for a bullish engulf. That will be your cue to get in, and you would want to see it completely reject off of this bottom line. It can dip down with wicks, but you want to see an overall engulfing or a bullish engulf or something like that along those lines. And that'll be your cue to get in. And once you see it break above this blue zone and it doesn't hesitate at all, you can go ahead and get in with your bigger lot sizes then and be a lot more comfortable with your risk management. So this would be a really, really solid one. I was talking to Sotir earlier about this, and I was thinking about making this as a call. I'm gonna probably have to wait a few days to see how this ends up completing, but I'll keep an eye on this for everyone, and I'll post this as a signal. Does anyone have any questions about bats real quick? Because otherwise I'm gonna jump into our other pairs that people wanna look at tonight. Type away. Someone said UCAT or USD CHF, so I'll jump over to that. Oh yeah, I made a mess of this chart. I never delete stuff until people ask me to look at it. Okay, so since no one typed anything out for me, we're gonna go ahead and just dive on into USD CHF. We'll start with saying that this is definitely in a range. Last week during during NFP, we had a really nice strong engulf here. So I'm expecting this to continue to rise at least up to its within its zone, its range zone here. So I'll pop that in. Some nice respect as it started into this zone. Triple tops. And then here, we'll call this the range right now. kind of tested this with the wick. I think that was just news. I think that was from Wednesday when that missile launch happened. Oh, yep, and it's still closing its gap right now. So the hard thing about when it ranges like this is we would be looking for our favorite harmonics. So we'll go ahead and see if this is a bat pattern. I'm just curious at this point. 5-5. So this already is pretty much invalidated, but it looks pretty. It's another harmonic, but it's not a bat pattern. Like I said, we'll go over that later. So in these kind of situations, you're basically going to be wanting to trade your floors and your ceilings. So you'd want to be getting in on your fib levels. So here we can see it came up. It didn't hit anything here. Whenever I draw fibs, I usually like to test a couple different points, a couple different highs, because some people like to trade over a week period of time, which is what this would be. This would be the last week's high to last week's low. And it looks like, oh man, it almost tested right off that 886 before it came down. But let's go ahead and draw the rest of these up. Oops. Okay. So here we can see that it came down, sat on the 382, which is a very strong resistance level for a continuation. So we'll be kind of looking for this to continue on its way up. And we could already have guessed that because, I keep doing that, because it tested our floor. So now we're going to be looking for it to come back up here and see if it'll break out or not. So next we'll go into our hour. And someone was asking about pitchforks, so we're going to see if we can't make this work out. So with pitchforks, it doesn't really matter, at least in TradingView where you click first, you're just creating a starting point for the median line. But you want to do your high to your low. And I guess I can do this one, but it's not going to be quite as pretty. So next we're going to be looking for how to line up all of our median points as much as we can. So this is some strong support right here. And I like this spot. And you're going to have to play with this and test it all out because here we have respect on the median. Yeah, I'll post those later. You have respect on the median. It kind of rides it. I need to zoom in. And then this is what you want to be looking for when it does finally break through a median is a full decisive price action movement. Comes back up, solid movement, and then it floats around the median, and then it takes off, hits our 618. This is a good example of it floating around the 618 to the 50. And this is why you also use your fibs with this, because this would have been an excellent zone to be watching to see if it would come back down off of this and retest our median line. It didn't, and it continued to float here and then had a strong price action movement through it. And then we kind of can see how it kind of just blows all the way back down to test our lower side. It even has a wick that comes all the way down to our outside, comes back up to our median, and then it opened today at the 618 and the 50. So now we're going to be looking for it to come back up and test our median again. And we'll take a quick look at the RSI. Doesn't really tell us a whole lot right now, so it doesn't matter. We know that this is a really strong area. This red line where my cursor is right now is the 236. So this is a strong spot that we're going to have to wait and see what happens with this, but I'm expecting it to pretty much just ignore it. It kind of already tested it on the last hour. If we zoom in, we can kind of see how it made this little candle here. That was kind of it playing around in this zone. So we'll see it continue on up. And then the next place we'll be watching really closely will be around here-ish, but I don't think it's going to take that long to get there. I think we could be looking at something more like this because this would be our double top from our last high. And if we zoom out more, we can see our other ones, which are going to be important levels. These are what I would call weaker levels or psychological levels. So we'll put that in there. And that's not really going to do us much good. So that we'll see a lot of fluctuation on this line too because it'll start being our next double top. But what I'd be looking for is it coming up to this median line, it'll flutter around here for a few hours, and then it'll continue on up to our 618. Oh, that was the Telegram chat. Okay. So let's get rid of this guy real quick. Where's my fib? Oh, there it is. Okay. So there's nothing wrong with doing some extra fib measuring, because this is a great way to measure some of these other smaller movements that happen on the lower time frames. We can see how it came up from this lower low, or on this fib level at least, hit the 786, closed for the week on the median, and then opened back up way down here. So this probably would have been the full movement that we would have normally seen if the markets hadn't actually been closed. We just have this little empty space. We're just going to kind of pretend that this actually happened and it continued down. So the next thing you could be looking for would be your entry. And this is a lot of lines, I know, but it makes sense when you draw your boxes in, because you're looking for zones of support and resistance. And usually it's not going to be just one single line. So here we can see that this would be our next zone. Here we're measuring for the convergence of the 618 after it came back down, hit that, and it's continuing on its way up. The 618 is a great continuation fib. So I'll get rid of that. So now we know that this was our entry point, but we already knew that because of our pitchforks that we drew. So now we're going to continue watching USD CHF try to rise or flutter around this zone. Typically, I've noticed that markets will try to close their gaps, this little thing that happened over the weekend, but I think it's more of a psychological thing that people kind of just equate to the market trying to get back to where it was. And if we look at our fibs that we just drew up, we can kind of see how that makes sense, and it doesn't really have anything to do with the market being closed. So that's about all I really have tonight. I'm going to post all of these things for everyone. If you have any last questions, go ahead and ask me. We got 10 more minutes in this Zoom call. Go ahead and type it out or unmute yourself, whatever you need to do. Yeah, no problem. I hope it all was helpful, everyone. Thanks a lot for being here. Yep. Be sure to watch out for our meeting tomorrow night. I think I'm going to do it at 8 o'clock. So be there, bring your questions. We're going to try to do about an hour and a half to 2 hours of harmonics learning. So let's see how some of these others turned out. Yep. See, there's GJ testing around still. Yep, harmonics will be tomorrow night at 8. So, okay, everyone. Well, that's it for tonight. Have a great evening, and thank you.